read 5 books in February. Let's talk about them. If you're ever curious to what I'm reading, I always am up to date on my Goodreads, which is in my bio. First up was The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. I love Lynn Painter. One of my favorite books is actually on the back, Better Than the Movies. She does it every time. It's always a cute, teenage, giggly little romance. You will be taking your feet laughing the whole entire time. This one I specifically wanted to save for February because it was about a girl reliving Valentine's Day over and over again. If you like movies like that, I'm sure you will love this book. It brings you back to that like first love romance feeling. It wasn't my favorite, but it was still a really cute and engaging read. It's kind of a change of pace from my other books I've been reading, that's for sure. Speaking of change of pace, I ended up getting into the second book of the Magnolia Parks Universe series, Daisy Hates. Oh my god, this is 20 times better than Magnolia Parks. Daisy and Christian? Are you kidding? Christian is such a man, where BJ is such a boy. If you know, you know. This book was so good. I feel like Daisy was such a better main character than Magnolia. No hate to Magnolia. She just wasn't my favorite female main character, and I hate when you don't like the female main character, you know? Daisy just seemed like so well-rounded. She grew up and around crime, but she's also studying to be a doctor, so she kind of thinks she's balancing that out in a way. I find her so relatable, and the way Christian treats her. Actually interesting, if you've read the first book, it explains so much more into detail about little question marks you had. So if you read the first book and you didn't like it that much, I highly suggest continuing the series on. Why do all her books end on such a cliffhanger? So naturally, I had to go directly into the third book, which is Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. We're back with Magnolia and BJ. I thought the first one was a headache. This one is so much more. Magnolia and BJ are the definition of will they, won't they romance. But they will they and won't they about 42 times throughout the book. I just feel like it is so toxic. Not like the, oh, he's gonna kidnap me, tie me up toxic, because that's fine, obviously. This is just more of a realistic toxic. Like, they are out to hurt each other emotionally. Like, they care so much that they don't care, if that makes sense. Like, it's just very, I don't know. But again, as the series goes on, you just learn so much more about why these characters and their relationships are the way they are. So it, like, I get it. It makes sense. Jessa Hastings, I understand. So this book really did kind of put into perspective more of their relationship. But I'm not on Team Magnolia and BJ. But I will say, the way it ended. Why? What happened? Like, excuse me? Tears, shock, questions. She ends all of her books like this, so obviously I'm reading the 4th book now. For the audiobook, I decided to read Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Tarryn Fisher. I heard a lot of hype around this book lately. So many people are very back and forth with Colleen Hoover. I personally like her. She was the reason I got into reading in the first place. I haven't read one of her books in a while, and this one just sounded so interesting. Basically, it's about these 2 high school students who wake up one morning, have no idea who they are themselves, how old they are, what they look like, who their family is. They basically know nothing. Zip, zero, with absolutely no explanation. They're a couple, so they don't even know each other. They don't know why this happened, and basically the whole book is them having to figure out why. But the catch is every 48 hours, it restarts and they have no idea what's going on again. This book took me on such a ride. Oh my god, I highly recommend the audiobook because I feel like audiobooks is just sometimes, especially if it's like a mystery kind of book, it just takes you on so much more of a journey. But I really enjoyed this book. I feel like it is so unique and so different to any book I have ever read. You are constantly questioning why this is happening, what's going on, and what's gonna happen. Definitely felt a little different than traditional Colleen Hoover books, I guess because she added on Tarryn Fisher with it. I liked it. The only thing I didn't really like was the ending. It didn't really make sense to me, but overall, I enjoyed it. Then the last book I read was Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Oh my god, I've been putting this off for so long. It's been on my bookshelf for forever. I see so many people say this is the best book they've ever read, and I totally understand. This is a perfect 5-star read to me. This is about a girl named Macy and a boy named Elliot. Macy and her father just went through something very tragic, and they end up moving into this new vacation home where Elliot is the neighbor. Macy and Elliot get super close pretty early on. I think she's 13 and he's 15. For years, they're best friends. They do everything together. They love books together. They're just kind of like outcasts together, if that makes sense, until something tragic and crazy happens that ends up driving them apart for 11 years. They run into each other, and then all these feelings come back, all these questions about what would have happened if they would have stayed together, why they broke up in the first place. And it just takes you on such a ride. The chapters flip back and forth between when they were like teenagers to now, which they're almost 30. And it's just really crazy. It is such a well-written story. This was my first Christina Lauren book, and if you guys have any recommendations, I would love to know because I really ate this up. I am a sucker for second chance romance books. That just like has my heart. So good. Loved the ending. The only thing I will say is I need more. Christina, we need a second book, okay? Because I have questions. I have questions, wants, needs, desires, okay? Let me know what your favorites were for the month of February and if you've read any of these.